I'm gonna have... Where's it gone?
Where are you?
How did I manage that? It's like down the side of the wardrobe where it meets the wall.
Oh, I can use the bow to poke at it. Oh, come on now, my child.
Okay, well that's one arrow gone forever. Luckily I've still got another one. Hello Cinnamon Bun, are you ready to dive back into Brave? This is part 2, so fair warning, if you haven't seen part 1, this might be utter gibberish to you. This is a video in my Plot With Me series where I get my hands dirty fixing up stories from pop culture. The magical method that I use for all of my plotting and story crafting is called the Plot Embryo, and if you would like to use it for your own stories, get yourself down to the description below and sign up for my free course, How to Plot on One Page. 7 days, 7 videos, 10 minutes a day, and you can learn it for yourself. Let's get into it! I'm still feeling kind of muddled, so I'm going to start messing around with this and the ideas that I've got. Okay, I still don't know how this figures or how this connects in with the marriage stuff, but I've just had an idea of how the legend could connect to this whole cursed gate superstition idea. It could be that the legend is of a prince who, it could be a prince or the leader of a clan or whatever, some guy, it could even be Mor'du still, maybe, who turned a stranger away and something tragic happened, so I could figure out what that was, you know, like maybe he finds out it was actually a family member, that would be properly tragic, or they, like, you know, he turns them away thinking they'll get like shelter at the nearest town, but actually they die. Something awful happens and he realizes the error of his ways, that how he should have, you know, invited the person in, how he was being selfish, and maybe he has a witch spell the gate to curse anyone who would close it on someone. Maybe he uses that as a motivator to have everyone else leave it open and start this tradition of leaving it open so that no one else is going to make the same mistake that he did, because legends are lessons. It does kind of, yeah, this does kind of make sense, because Merida could be closing the gate as a kind of a symbol to the clans arriving that they're not welcome, that she doesn't want them there because she doesn't want to get married, and that closed offness, that like rejection of, you know, guests, travelers, could mirror the prince somehow, even though I don't know why yet he was turning this stranger away. Yeah, okay. Let's try this. Okay, so provisionally I've got up in U, which is backstory and stakes, I've got the legend. So this tragic story of a prince who turned a traveller away. He has negative consequences. I'm not sure exactly what they will be still. It might even lead to a clan war or something. So he starts the tradition of keeping the gate open all the time so others won't make his mistake. Then we have Merida, who resents traditions in general. She resents the gate being left open tradition because her horse is very smart and manages to get out of the stables and out of the castle every night or something and cause mischief. So it's like inconvenient for her to have the gate closed. She also doesn't want the clans to arrive because she doesn't want to get married, and she resents that her hand being offered in marriage, and so she closes the gate to kind of show they're unwelcome. And then in 2 we'd start to have like the consequences of that. Or maybe, actually, she should really close the gate here, shouldn't she? And kind of implied by this superstition, or we could just make it part of this world, even if it's not, is the idea that an open gate means welcome and a closed gate is unwelcoming, basically, to strangers and travelers. So we can just kind of establish that in this world. The marriage stuff, and how does her mum end up a bear? Because I think that's a huge part of the story, so I probably want to keep that. Oh yeah, sorry, and also down at find. Obviously it's just kind of the opposite. So the legend here is part of the backstory, but Merida's not going to know that at the start. So I think her find point is probably going to be actually learning the entire legend of the prince, understanding why, you know, his mistake and why he thought it was so important to be welcoming to strangers, and her kind of realizing, oh shit, maybe I should have looked into this tradition a bit more closely before I decided that it was stupid. Because some traditions are stupid, but some of them come from, you know, very meaningful things. This might not be one particular plot point or element, although I guess you could make an argument for it to be the conflict, but I can't figure out how Eleanor ends up being turned into a bear at the moment, because I still don't think that the witch stuff makes enough sense. So I'm going to just brainstorm that. I'm kind of stuck. This happens, I guess. But yeah, I'm not really sure where to go from here. I just think that if we keep the fact that Merida got the spell specifically to change her mum so that she can get out of marrying, that has to be what she realizes is her mistake, because it's too fucked up. Maybe she literally closes the gate on her mum. It's kind of instead of the tapestry. Like, it's that moment of like, she's so angry at her for not understanding that she does it out of spite, like right in front of her. Mum's on the other side of the gate, and maybe that is what changes her. But if her mum's already on the other side of the gate, then you can't really have the sneaking out of the castle scene, because she's already out of the castle. Maybe it's the door, maybe it's the front door instead of a gate. Maybe the gate stays shut after that and you can't get it open until she atones. To be honest, I think the reason I'm struggling with this so much is that it really is two stories. It's Merida and Eleanor, and trying to just do Merida is messing me up. Maybe I could do a super quick version of Eleanor. Okay, I think I'm going to stop for today and come back to this tomorrow, because it is 4:30. It's 4:30 p.m. and I'm in Scotland and it's January, so we've kind of lost the light and my brain is pretty tired. So I think we've done a good amount, but I'm kind of stuck, and I'm going to come back to this with a fresh morning brain tomorrow. Okay, I think there are two reasons I'm feeling kind of muddled with this right now. I think the first one is, obviously I've got the themes for both of them, that's fine, that's nailed down, but I don't have the situations, the external realms. So that's the center, this middle ring here for each of them. This representing the familiar situation that they start out in, and then the unfamiliar situation that they travel through over the story. I've had different, and I think it's because there are different kind of things that could be. It could be the bear curse / spell is the unfamiliar situation. Could be that the clan war is the unfamiliar situation. Oh, I don't know. But I do feel like I've tried both of those already, and it's still not really giving me that much more insight into this outside, the plot points. The other problem is that Eleanor and Merida have two parallel but different stories, obviously related to each other, you know, connected to each other, but Eleanor being a bear seems to be the main conflict for both of them, and that makes it a bit tricky. Maybe I'm getting too hung up on the idea that it needs to be someone's fault. Okay, I'm just going to read over these to remind myself and see where we get with that. Okay, here's an idea. At the moment, I have Merida closing the gate on her mother in anger, which is symbolic, but it also literally, I think, turns Eleanor into a bear. And then at the opposite point, she has to atone for that. She has to atone for the fact that she hurt her mum that way and shut her out and was cruel, essentially. And her atoning for that and opening the gate or doing something else symbolic like that will transform her mother back. So that makes me think that the bear conflict is Merida's plot, even though it happens to Eleanor. And then that perhaps means that clan war conflict is Eleanor's main conflict. And I like that that simultaneously actually affects Merida's life more than hers almost, because it's Merida that's, you know, going to have to get married potentially, or it seems to be Merida's responsibility to prevent the clan war. So I like that idea of them kind of being forced to take responsibility for something which affects the other one's life, and that being their main conflict, and that helping bring them closer together. Let's run with that idea and see how that would fit onto Eleanor's plot. Already, just putting in, so like my preliminary version of this point is the clans arrive and tension is high and they must find a way to diffuse that tension to prevent a clan war. This tells me that the backstory and the stakes need to be about the clans. And this is something that I noted, I can't remember if I've said it already in this video, but it's something I noted in my notes, is that I totally agree. In a Critical Hits video, they talk about how the idea of the clan war, the war between the clans, is not presented seriously. It's all like a joke. If you know anything about actual Scottish clan history, it is bloody, it is brutal, it is heartbreaking. I don't know that much about it, but my brother actually is big into his history and stuff and knows quite a lot about it. But like the basic research that I've done for stories myself, clan war is awful. It was really awful. It's like clans have done really awful things to each other. Obviously, this is still a Pixar movie, so it's not going to get super graphic or anything, but that doesn't mean that we can't still have a serious threat of danger or a serious threat of tragedy. And that is what this should be here. The backstory and the stakes. We should have a history of knowing what it is like to have the clans at war and how awful that is, to then help motivate this, to be like, okay, we don't want that to happen again, but we don't know if we can actually have peace because maybe these clans have never been at peace. That starts to give me a jumping off point for the rest of this, so I'm feeling good about this so far. Okay, I'm starting to put together some general pieces. Still not very happy with it, but just to update you. So at plot point 1, we've got like the backstory, the setup, which is that the clans have a bloody and brutal history and have never been at peace, so they don't know if it's even possible for these clans to be at peace or unified. And we also have established that there is a history of creating political unity through marriage, so using marriage to unify clans and disparate groups, which is true, basically. Then at plot point 2, we've got tensions are high between the clans. Maybe they're on the verge of war and they must diffuse it to prevent clan war. Eleanor tries to do this by arranging Merida's marriage, which is traditional. It's a traditional way to try and prevent a clan war or to diffuse tensions. So the idea I had for the familiar and unfamiliar was literally just communicating with the other clans from afar, and then the clans having gathered for this meeting, this kind of summit, for what's meant to be peace talks, but everyone's kind of on edge. So then that would dictate that these 2 points go and leave. So if they're entering the situation of the clan gathering, then it means the clans are arriving at the castle for the meeting. If they're leaving the clans gathering, then it means the clans are literally leaving the castle. So that might be fine, super simple. And then at search, we have Eleanor searching for a way to solve the clan war, and that is by trying to force Merida to do her duty to get married, to unify the clans, and failing at it. And that then means at plot point 5, and this is really vague as well, that Eleanor needs to learn somehow that forced marriage isn't actually a tradition they should uphold, that she should have understood it fully instead of blindly supporting it. So we could go the same way as Merida, but that means that we're going to have 2 different legends, which maybe doesn't work, it's maybe too much. But she needs to find out maybe that the history of why we use marriage for political unity maybe isn't as admirable as she thought, or as worth protecting or worth using as she thought. In fact, actually, that makes me think maybe it's just literally Merida talking to her and being like, hey, like, how good is it for clan unity for me to basically be a prisoner in this marriage, and to resent my husband, and to resent the whole situation? Like, how is that going to help anything? Can't I do more good when we're all coming from a place of equality? Maybe it's something like that. So it could be a conversation. And that just made me think, if Merida is the one that is explaining or talking to Eleanor and she causes this change of heart, then it makes sense for Eleanor being the one to explain to Merida why, the stuff that makes her have her change of heart, which I really like, obviously, that is that perfect mirroring again, and that their change of heart comes from them actually listening to each other again, which is another kind of theme.
If you could just... I think I could make you understand if you would just listen. Listen!
I don't know exactly how this is going to work, since the idea with Merida's plot is that it's the truth of the legend, the whole truth of the legend, that changes her mind, and I don't know if Eleanor knows that already or why she would withhold it. If she does, etc., we'll figure that out. Then we have, this is basically just a placeholder. Eleanor has to find another way to unite the clans that isn't marriage, and pay whatever cost that is. Clans leave, and then hopefully we've got clan peace, so the opposite of this. Here we've got tension, rising war, and then we've got diffusing it and hopefully resolving it. This is obviously still very rough, but I am a lot happier with this kind of division of bear and war, because that was really one of the biggest confusing parts. what I'm going to do now is I have a feeling or an idea perhaps that, so we've got the legend as part of Merida's story, and it's part of the backstory, and then she learns, it's part of what helps her have her change of heart and learn that, you know, tradition shouldn't just be dismissed out of hand. That sometimes traditions come from a really meaningful and good place, and obviously Eleanor is kind of learning the opposite. Sometimes they're not worth preserving. The problem was, though, if we want to use this idea of the legend as a lesson and have that be part of their learning process and their change of heart, then we either need two separate legends for each one, which perfectly illustrates the point that they're going through, or we need to try and combine them. And that seems a bit difficult, but given that the legend I have at the moment for Merida is about this idea of a prince who turns someone away, and again there's a symbol of the gate being open or closed, being welcoming versus unwelcoming, or generous versus miserly, I suppose. That does seem like it could fit into the idea of the clan war and stuff, and the idea of, you know, helping your neighbours or being kind to your neighbours and stuff. So I'm going to see if there is a way for me to combine them so that the legend can be a lesson for them both. Let's see what we get. I believe that I have now got a version of the legend which has applicable wisdom and lessons for both Merida and Eleanor. So different parts of the legend are going to apply to their respective situations. So here's my idea. And this does get a little bit more complex than the original legend in Brave about Mor'du. But Mor'du's legend, while simple, was kind of pointless and didn't really add much to the story. So we have a lord in a castle, lord of one of the clans. It's winter, and a servant comes and tells him that there is a party from another clan at their gates. They are begging for shelter from a storm. It's a very stormy winter night in Scotland. But the Lord is too afraid that it is a trap. He doesn't trust the other clan for whatever reason. He's afraid that they are actually soldiers in disguise, and so he refuses to open the gate and give them shelter. In the morning, or maybe a few days later, the party has died from the cold. They are frozen still at the gate. And the Lord finds out that one of them was actually his brother. Having received hospitality from another clan, his brother had travelled and had come back to try and broker peace. I had an idea here about kind of the brother brokering peace, maybe from, or the other clan, I guess, showing a willingness to forgive the feuds and the difficulties of the past, maybe of their forebears, instead of trying to solve this clan conflict with marriage. So the Lord has found out that he has inadvertently killed his brother. Obviously he's devastated. He becomes determined never to let his fear stop him offering shelter to strangers again. He is like, never again am I going to let that happen. And so he decrees from then on that the gate will remain open always to everyone. And he has a witch spell it to curse anyone who closes it, which I kind of like the idea that it's almost like to prevent himself from closing it. It's like to keep himself by his own word. So it's not just like, I'm going to punish anyone else who defies my rule. It's like, I want to make sure that I keep my own rule and I never let this happen again. As you can see there, it's a simple story, but it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you can see how it works kind of as like a little fable or an Aesop, to give different things to Merida and Eleanor. For Merida, it's going to be the fact that she doesn't know the part about the spell at the end. and why, well, I guess all of it kind of is relevant because she sees the tradition of keeping the gate open as silly, as something people just do for the sake of it. And obviously once she finds out why it exists, why the tradition exists, she will understand. But also the important information for her is the idea that anyone who closes the gate is going to be cursed, because if she'd known that, then obviously she wouldn't have done it and she would have respected the tradition. For Eleanor, I think she knows the part about the Lord decreeing that the gate remain open, because she obviously abides by that tradition. But I think she probably doesn't know the part about his brother, and the idea of them brokering peace, and about that being the willingness to forgive the conflicts between them and move forward instead of using marriage. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, but you can see that there are parallels there. Obviously it's connected to the idea of the war between the clans. Another thought that I had was that maybe, so I want to have a very basic idea of this legend be known to Eleanor and Merida, or at least Eleanor, at the beginning, and obviously over the course of the story and down at the bottom they will learn the whole truth of it and be able to take away the lessons from it, of the entire story, instead of just like this superficial kind of idea. And one of the ways I thought to maybe twist how they tell the legend in the beginning before they learn the truth is maybe that the Lord himself of the clan, maybe they think he is the Lord of their clan or the Lord of the other clan, but he's actually the other one. So, okay, perhaps Eleanor and I guess the rest of their clan tells this story in that they were that the Lord was Lord of the other clan, and it was their clan whose party died at the gates and who was kind of snubbed and who was done wrong by. And so that motivates their hospitality, their keeping the gate open. They're like, hey, we're not going to sink to your level. You guys did that, but we're going to show that we're better by always having our gate open. And then it could be the reveal that it was actually the Lord of their clan that they did that, and they actually have to atone for it, and they actually have to apologize for it or take responsibility for it. As much as you can take responsibility for something one of your ancestors did. I did not expect to get this deep into clan politics when I decided to do this story. I think this is finally slotting into place, thank God. I think I've actually reduced the clan conflict to just Eleanor and Merida's clan and then one other, so it's like the two of them at loggerheads instead of the four, because it just kind of makes it simpler for the story. And the story, obviously, like I'm saying, the legend has gotten a lot more complex. But yeah, okay, so I'm definitely going to go with the idea that people have been telling this story wrong, because it's a very old story and things get lost in translation. Eleanor has been telling a version of this story where she believes that she is part of the clan that was wronged, and it was the Lord of the other clan who turned them away and killed them, and she's actually going to find out that it was obviously one of her ancestors that did that. And so that's going to be part of her realization that, like, obviously part of the clan conflict is like holding on to these feuds and incidents from the past, and Eleanor and her clan have been blaming the other clan for what this lord did many years ago. And when she discovers that it was actually her ancestor, of course she realizes that she can't be held responsible for what he did, and so it's completely unfair for her to hold the other clan responsible to what their parents and grandparents and great-great-grandparents did, and that they need to let go of the past so that they can unite for the future, which makes a great pitch for brokering some clan peace instead of just superficially doing it with a marriage. So that works for Eleanor really well. The thing that makes it work for Merida is that if Merida's heard this story about this lord who turned someone away, and so he decreed that gates would be left open forever, she thinks that happened to the other clan, then even if she hears the part of the story where the gate becomes cursed, or whoever closes the gate will be cursed, she's like, well, that's some other clan, it's not our gate, so why should we abide by that rule? It's just a silly old superstition. And then obviously learning the true nature of the legend, she will realise, oh shit, it was our gate after all, and if I had bothered to find that out, I wouldn't have got myself cursed. So, okay, feeling good about this. Let's start to try and fill in the pieces based on that. Okay, it's getting kind of confusing to be talking about the clans when I don't know the name of either of each of them. I don't even know Merida and Eleanor's last name, if they have last names, so I'm going to quickly look that up. Okay, after a rudimentary Google, it seems to be Dunbroch, so where should we write this? So, Merida of Clan Dunbroch. Let's just take one of the clans from the movie of the four, so let's say, what was it, Macintosh, MacGuffin, and something else. Let's say Macintosh. Okay, so super basic version of the incorrect legend that Merida and Eleanor know is that the Lord of Clan Macintosh cruelly refused shelter to a party from Clan Dunbroch, and the party died at the gate. In memory of this party who died, and to show that we welcome travellers, unlike Clan Macintosh, we keep our gate always open, and the gate hasn't been closed in 100 years. The truth is that it was actually Clan Dunbroch who refused shelter, and it was a party from Clan Macintosh that died at the gate, and it was the Lord of Dunbroch who cursed the gate spelled the gate to curse whoever would close it. God, I think I might be done. Ho ho! Am I? Do I still need to work on these bits? I could continue to refine these. I could go into more detail on each point. I could be like, okay, what's the most amazing version of this point? How can I break it down into how it would play out? But I've ended up doing 2 plot embryos for this instead of 1 already, and that's kind of all just like fleshing out work that you can do with brainstorming. But I think these actually work together already. As they are, the bones are there, so I'm gonna write them up and we will have a look at what we've got. Okay, so I've just numbered these in the order in which they kind of fit together. So if I was going to then go and like write this story or write a script or write a prose version of it, I would be giving each of these either individual scene cards or multiple scene cards for different scenes within each plot point. I would do this for both of them, and then I would shuffle them into the order in which they need to happen. So as you can see, it starts with Eleanor's story. It's the backstory. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are parallel. Then 6, 7, 8 happen at the same time. 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13 happen at the same time as well. So you can see that we just kind of shuffle back and forth between moving each story along. Okay, let's see what we came up with. Clan Dunbrach and Clan Mackintosh have hated each other forever. To honour the Dunbrachs, who, in the legend, died when Lord Mackintosh, out of fear, refused to open his gate and grant them shelter, the Dunbrach Castle Gate has been open for 100 years. Lady Eleanor Dunbrach strongly believes in maintaining this and other traditions. Tensions between the two clans are high, and war will surely break out unless they do something to stop it. Tradition dictates that unity between clans is created by marriage, so Eleanor arranges for her daughter Merida to marry one of Lord Mackintosh's 3 sons. The Mackintosh clan arrives at Castle Dunbrach for a peace meet. Under the surface though, tensions are high, and it seems like everyone is just itching for a fight. Lord Mackintosh's 3 sons are to compete for Merida's hand, but Merida humiliates Eleanor by winning the archery challenge herself. Clan Mackintosh is understandably angry to find, after graciously agreeing to meet on Dunbrach soil, that the Dunbrach princess is refusing the marriage. Eleanor and Merida have a heated argument. Eleanor tries to force Merida to obey, and in her rebellious anger, Merida slams the Dunbrach gate shut on her mother, the first time it's been closed in 100 years. But the gate is cursed, and it turns Eleanor into a bear. On their search for a solution to turn her back, Eleanor and Merida are both led to information which allow them to piece together the whole truth of the legend. Merida shares what she found with Eleanor, that it was Lord Dunbrach who closed his gate on the Mackintoshes, not the other way around. Not only that, but Lord Dunbrach unwittingly let his own brother die of exposure along with the Mackintoshes, his brother having managed to find common ground with them on his way to building peace. Eleanor realises a marriage between the clans would only be a band-aid, not a true solution for peace, and that not all traditions are worth upholding. Eleanor shares what the Wisps showed her about how to lift the curse, and Merida manages to turn her back into a human. They return to the peace meet, and Eleanor tells everyone the truth of the legend, admits that she had been holding it against the Mackintoshes, and how unfair that was. She apologises for what Lord Dunbrach did so long ago, and gives a rousing speech about breaking tradition with forgiveness and laying the past to rest. Clan Mackintosh leaves peacefully. The two clans are united in peace, through forgiveness and better understanding their history together, instead of a unity through marriage. Eleanor has a new critical eye for which traditions are worth preserving, and a renewed relationship with Merida. Merida thinks the tradition of keeping the Dunbrach gate open is pointless, and generally thinks all the traditions Eleanor forces her to uphold are silly and unfair. When she finds out she is to marry one of Lord Mackintosh's sons to unite the clans, she chooses archery as the suitor's challenge, proclaims she will fight for her own hand, and beats them herself. When Eleanor tries to force Merida to marry, Merida is so angry and hurt that she slams the Dumbroch gate closed on her mother. The gate glows, and Eleanor is turned into a bear. Merida must find a way to turn her back. Eleanor can't talk, but she can write. This means that she and Merida can still communicate, but she's still in danger from Fergus and others who only see a bear. Knowing Fergus, being a bear hunter, will try to kill Eleanor, they flee the castle together. They seek the help of the forest witch. She can't lift the curse, but she can call the wisps to lead them where they need to go. As they follow the wisps, Eleanor loses herself for a moment, and they realise if they don't lift the curse by sunrise, she will be a real bear forever. The wisps' trail forks in two, leading Merida and Eleanor to two different, secret parts of the castle. They each discover pieces of the whole truth of the Gate legend. On reuniting, they must really listen to and trust each other with the crucial information the other has gathered. Merida explains to Eleanor that it was Lord Dumbroch, not Lord Mackintosh, who closed the gate. Eleanor explains that the Lord placed a curse on the gate to ensure no one, including himself, would ever make that mistake again. Merida feels sympathy for the Lord Dumbroch of the legend, and realises she shouldn't have dismissed the tradition without understanding it. She now knows how to lift the curse. Fergus finds Eleanor and tries to attack her. Merida protects her mother and they manage to make it back to the gate, with only a little time left before sunrise. Merida opens the gate and stands on the threshold. She apologises to Eleanor and welcomes her in. But Eleanor has turned. Merida welcomes her mother with open arms, even as the bear leaps to attack. Merida closes her eyes, terrified, and finds herself, instead of being mauled, in the embrace of a hug. Eleanor has transformed back into herself. Together, they reconvene the clans, and Eleanor brokers peace without marriage. Merida has a newfound respect for the Gate tradition, and understands now that some traditions have true value. She has learned how to listen to Eleanor, and their relationship is strengthened and harmonious.
So, that's it. What did you think of my version? And what story should I do next? Big thanks to John, Adam and Austin from Critical Hit for collaborating with me on this monster plot with me two-parter. This is probably quite distracting for you guys, I realise. I want to know if you already know and love Critical Hit, so if you do, put "But the Tapestry," all caps, in the comments, please. And if you don't already know Critical Hit, let me know by commenting "Hello, nice boys." And I am so excited to be the one that gets to introduce you to them. They're really awesome. If you like my videos about storytelling, you are going to love them too, so definitely head over there and check out their channel and subscribe. They do a lot more breaking down what works and what doesn't in terms of storytelling in films, specifically animated films, than I do, and it's really fascinating, fun stuff. If you'd like to see the 2 finished plot embryos and all of my brainstorming notes, all of the pages of brainstorming that I created during these videos, then I have uploaded them to my site, so you will find the link for that below. Okie dokie. I will see you later. Oh my god, that hit the light! Okay, here we go, here we go. This is like almost a stance. I'll be shooting for my own hand. Ow! Or I'll just be shooting my own hand. I'll be shooting for my own plot. Oh, it landed on the bed. It bounced off the wall. See, now I'm just shooting it directly at that gap between the wardrobe and the wall, and that's a recipe for disaster. We've already lost 1 to that. Let the challenge begin. Highly relatable reference, Rachel. I'm sure everyone knows Naughty's Scottish kids adventure show Raven. What's like a good Scottish catchphrase? What if I try and do Doric? Just gonna shoot this arrow Benahus, Ken. It went off like diagonally from the bow. At least no one was harmed. You know what I've noticed? Every single movie or media where there's like a Scottish accent and it's not necessarily made in Scotland. Everyone speaks like so over enunciated. Why is that? Is it so that you can understand us? Can you guys ever not understand me? There's a joke in Brave multiple times where one of the suitors speaks and no one can understand what he's saying, and what they are trying to make that is Doric. And the hilarious thing is that I don't speak Doric. I understand Doric because my grandparents speak it, and I did not understand a word he was saying. Get it together, Pixar. It is true that even in other places in Scotland, people can't understand other Scottish people because we have very thick accents and dialects. If you want to make a joke out of that, that's fine, but maybe make it so that the people who actually speak that language can understand it. What is happen? That looks stupid though, because like I've got both elbows. Sirens. Oh, that was so close. I'm not doing that again. How do? It should be... My arm should be straight, right? How to frame this in the shop. It's too small though, so I just look like I'm like... I look like a squirrel with a bow and arrow. Because it's for children and their tiny arms. Oh, I smoothed out this one corner of my bed for you guys. I hope you're impressed. Oh, it's already messed up. I only walked past it. Oh, okay. I think that might be enough footage, Rachel. I don't know. It might be.